Hey guys,
Hi guys.
we are here today with a amazing guest, Onari Jackson.
Hello.
How are you, Onari?
All is well.
All is well.
All is well.
Welcome to Coco's Talk. We're so excited to have you.
Good. We're gonna have fun.
Yes, we are.
Yes, we are.
So what we're gonna do, we're gonna start the day off with the song of the day. And the song of the day is
Boom,
Dirty Diana.
boom, boom, boom.
Y'all not gonna make me sing this.
Boom, boom.
Y'all need to play. I'm not messing with you. Oh my Lord.
Dirty Diana, oh, Dirty Diana, oh, Dirty Diana, no, Dirty Diana.
Y'all fine.
What did Diana say?
Hey,
She was like, "You not going home? You coming with me?"
ask somebody.
Baby,
Diana snatched that man up, and that was the end.
baby, he ain't never been right. After Diana.
But that's the song of the day. So here we are. And we're excited.
We're so excited. But listen, before we get into this, I need you to like, share, and subscribe, okay?
Okay.
All right, and you can find us on Instagram at Coco's Talk, and you can also find us on YouTube at Coco's Talk.
Yes.
And Miss Onari, where can we find you?
You can find me on Instagram at Healing Broken Wings INC.
Ooh, I like that INC,
love
baby.
it.
Ink, baby. Ink.
Healing Broken. So how did you come up with that name?
So originally I wanted to start an organization and I was gonna name it The Morning After.
Oh,
And my
wow.
mother said, that sounds like you're trying to get rid of a baby.
Ooh, child.
So
Talk
I had
about
gone
it.
through the whole process of incorporating it and everything. And she was like, yeah, not so much. And she started a school, which was Eagle Academy Public Charter School. And so the whole theme of that was wings and birds and so on and so forth. And she was like, well, you're trying to heal people. So why don't you heal wings when they broken?
Ooh.
And I said, oh, and I played with it a little bit.
Mhm.
And we came up with Healing Broken Wings.
I like that.
I really like
I
that.
do like that. That's amazing.
Today we're gonna do something a little different on Coco's Talk.
Okay.
We're doing the soundtrack of your life.
Ooh, that's going to be
Yes.
fun.
Yes, we are.
So the question I have is, Little Onari.
Okay.
Little Onari.
Mm-hmm. You want to know about her?
I want to know what was her soundtrack and how do you
Ooh.
explain that?
So, Little Onari, how little are we talking?
However little you remember.
Okay. So, Little Onari was backyard.
Okay.
Any backyard you think of. Soul for Real.
But hold on, let's explain what backyard is because
Okay.
our audience is all the way in Paris.
Okay.
You
I love
understand?
it.
So we are from Washington, D.C.
I love it.
Okay, so I need
Okay.
you to explain what backyard is and what it means to DC.
Okay.
Not just a snippet, but
got
you got to explain
Okay.
that.
Yeah.
So, Backyard Band is one of the pioneers of the entire go-go sound. They absolutely pushed what was already existing, thanks to Chuck Brown and other people that came before them, like Rare Essence, to another level.
Right.
And they put people like myself that were born around the 80s, because I'm 35 forever. That's all you'll ever know.
Oh, okay.
They
Okay.
pushed us into a space of camaraderie when there were beefs and there were issues in different neighborhoods.
Yeah.
So you could actually get to a place of hearing this vibration and this song and this theme, and it puts you in a mindset of like African drums. It puts you in a mindset of rich, ingratiated history of who we were and who we are.
Yeah.
Yes.
And so DC has this unique history of having a sound that nobody else does.
Nobody has.
New
our
York
sound.
can claim all the rap they want to, but anybody can rap. But nobody can do anything with go-go like DC does. I don't care how much they try to steal it and try to add it to their songs. It just is different.
It is different.
And so Backyard absolutely was where I was in that growing up in that 80s and the 90s sound, and really pushing us into a place of figuring out who we were and really being excited about it.
So how did that play out for you? Backyard, that's that era. What did that look like for you? That soundtrack of your life looked like what?
I didn't like myself.
Ooh,
honestly. And so what that kind of looked like was, I thought I was ugly. I thought I was fat. I was going through a lot mentally growing up. I didn't have a whole lot of self-worth. And so when you get into a space, if anybody's ever been into a go-go, it's dark
Yes.
and it's loud.
Yes.
And nobody's really paying attention to what you're doing because everybody has their own movement based upon whatever the vibration of the song is.
Mm-hmm.
And it's this thing in the go-go called a marsh pit.
Mm-hmm.
So if you can get in the front of the go-go where it's really tight and going down and not get beat up.
It's lit
And not
and
get beat
lit.
up. That part.
That part.
Uh-huh.
So for me to
That's
be able, my whole thing was going to the go-go. I'm getting a marsh pit every time. And I didn't have a crew of people that I hung with. I had a best friend.
Mm-hmm.
And she and I would go.
Okay.
But we would absolutely be in a space where it was like, it's going to be whatever it's going to be. And it gave me the freedom to be whoever I wanted to be in that moment. And it really gave me a place to feel like it don't matter what I look like, I'm still having a good time.
Oh,
know
I
that's
love
right.
that Backyard did that
do.
for
I
you.
love
It
that.
did.
Wow.
What is your favorite back song?
Ooh, we not, right now, I don't even know because the songs that I would name, we probably not going to say that too much. But realistically, Backyard period.
Yeah.
Just
Yeah.
if you go to a Backyard show and you watch the progression of how the show operates, from the bringing in of the band to the slowness of the
Yeah.
songs to the elevation to when it really everybody has lost their mind towards
Yes.
the end. So it's not really necessarily just one song because there's so many songs I
Yeah.
could probably name, but it's just the progression of being in that space.
Mhm.
Like I don't like to come in halfway. I want to hear everything.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah. You want to wait a little bit.
I want,
You want all three sets.
Yes.
Yes.
Uh-huh.
I'm gonna go to
It's the build-up,
halftime.
like
Yes.
you said, it's the
Mhm.
build up.
Yes.
Yep,
It's the
all of
build
that.
up.
Wow.
Okay.
And that build up when you got to your next level
Mhm.
of your life
Mhm.
and your soundtrack changed.
Mm.
How did it change and where did it go?
It got ratchet.
Okay.
So then it turned into Lil Kim.
Ooh, you
Ooh.
want to rumble with the beat,
Absolutely.
huh? Bzzz.
Lil Kim was very much so unapologetic about who she was.
Ooh.
So Little Kim came in when I was in high school.
Mm-hmm.
So mind you, I had been in mostly Caucasian schools all of my life.
Mm-hmm.
I went from Hyde Elementary to Hardy Junior High School, and then I was at Duke Ellington.
Mm-hmm.
And even at Duke Ellington, it was a weird space
Mhm.
because you had to have a talent to be there. So I tricked my way into Duke Ellington.
Okay.
I went in through museum studies, which is absolutely the brain part of it. So that's learning how to do things at the Smithsonian and being a curator and things of that
I
nature.
love that.
I was heavy.
Yes.
But I knew how to do dance because my mother had me in classical dance. I was doing Alvin Ailey when I was young, Washington School of Ballet. But Duke Ellington wasn't having it. You had to look just like you were supposed to look good in Washington School of Ballet.
Yeah.
And by the time I got to my junior year, I used all of my charm to be friends with the teachers. And I knew what was going on. I was part of SGA. I was doing all of that. So I was the first person ever to have a dual major at Duke Ellington.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
So I went into dance too.
Record setter.
Oh, you set that record. You set that record for my son because he had to do majors at Duke Ellington.
Nobody had it before me.
Okay.
Thank you. Okay, trailblazer.
I know. That is amazing.
That is amazing.
Okay.
Now, at Duke Ellington, and like you said, you had to look a certain way, you had to be a certain way.
Mhm.
How did you? I know you said you got close with the teachers.
Mhm.
How did that make you feel to be in that space to like have to do the extra work
Mhm.
just to be where you knew you should be?
Mhm. Couple of things. So I learned very, very, very early in life. I
Mhm.
lost a lot of people when I was young. My dad died when I was young. My brother committed suicide when I was young. So for the most part, it was pretty much just like me and my mom and my
Mhm.
grandmother. And so I learned very early, and I tell my kids and I tell anybody else, and I still kind of live this way. I'm gonna outwork you every day. I don't care who you are. I don't care how you operate. I don't care what space you're in. I'm absolutely going to move in a place to be better by outworking you. I'm going to figure out who the smartest person is in the room. I'm going to figure out how they move, and I'm going to counteract them by doing more. Even now, I get to work at 6 o'clock in the morning. Everybody else is there at 8. But for me as a younger child, it was more so of trying to figure out how to be in a place that was
Mhm.
going to put me in a position to win. How am I going to thrive? How am I going to stand out? But to be very honest with you, my self-worth started, and I probably shouldn't say it like this because everything's so politically correct right now, but it was the good Judies, honey. When I
Mhm.
got to high school and those wonderful flamboyant men that were at Duke Ellington,
Come on now,
they
speak it.
loved me
Mhm.
because
Yes.
they liked my face.
Yeah.
And if anybody knows anything about the whole culture in 2000s around that time, there were houses. And so it was like the House of Darion, the House
Yes.
of Style, and so on and so forth. And they wanted me to model face. And I had
Ah,
no
the
clue
face
what that was.
card.
Yeah. And so they would go down Georgetown and steal clothes. And I would come to school one way, and they would have me at school dressed a different way because now I'm their little plump doll baby because I was heavy.
Yeah.
And so it gave me a sense of worth because the guys that all of the girls wanted to be friends with, because they were the most popular, they always knew how to dress, they wanted to be around me.
Mhm.
And so it made me look at myself different.
So when you go back and you think about, okay, I didn't like myself in my backyard years, but when you get to your Duke Ellington years, you're like,
Little Kim years.
your little Kim years, yes. It's like everything that I didn't like about myself, people love about me in this stage.
And I was a nasty MF too.
Really?
Oh, baby. When I started to like myself, it's because what happens is, if you ever watch it on TV and it happens in real life, the ugly duckling becomes the swan and they lose their mind.
Yeah.
Because you get so much attention that you never had, or you pay attention to things differently. And so what I realized was me outworking everybody in the room was already getting me in the room.
Right.
And so now I have this segue of people who kind of pushing the barriers for me, and it's making me realize that all you got to do is just keep pushing. They absolutely taught me it doesn't matter what anybody else say. You just keep going. And so now I was nasty. I wasn't mean like to other kids, but I was nasty. I had a nasty mouth. I would fight anybody. I would say anything, because see, the backyard days taught you how to maneuver in the club.
Oh yeah, you had to elbow your way through, or
You're
you
right.
wasn't getting through to the
So now I'm learning
marsh
how
pit.
So now I'm learning how to maneuver on both sides. I'm always with Caucasian people, so I know how to outthink you on any platform, and now I know how to cuss you out real good. Oh, so that was something different.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yes, you can do both.
Yeah.
You can do everything.
She can
To
come
this
to
day.
the business meeting, or she can go to the go-go.
Yep. I'm two different people.
Yeah,
Now,
that's what you're supposed to
in my
be.
mind, I might be a Gemini. Because
Okay.
it's definitely two different people in there. Anybody that knows
Yeah.
me, anybody that's my friend, it is two totally different people. It's one that works and one that's in the community, and then instead of a little thing in there, it's two different people, baby.
I think it should be though.
Well, how do you manage those people?
So realistically, I watched, because I thought for a long time it was a bad thing. I thought that being able to like maneuver in different spaces, because people call you fake, or they say you phony, or you're not being real. And then when I got to a place where I started to play with big dogs, I realized it was called code switch.
Come on now.
So I didn't know that.
I was waiting for that.
Oh, baby, it's a thing.
I was
It's really a
waiting.
thing.
I was waiting for that.
Yeah. You have to not.
Yeah.
You have to be able to show up differently.
Yes.
So.
In by 9, out by 5.
Yeah. And people don't understand how very much so important that is.
It really
You have to
is.
be able to get in the room with the people that you love, and you can let your hair down and be that person. And then you have to be able to go outside and be that person. And the person that you are when you let your hair down is very much so sacred.
Right.
And people don't understand that. You
Right.
have to have a side of you that everybody isn't privy to.
And the funny thing about it is, even though you show up in different places as two different people, and the end is still the same person. You know, it's just like it's just my different quality.
I've only met very few people who can be themselves all the time.
Right.
But in order to be yourself all the time, you have to be somebody that nobody plays with.
Right.
Yes.
And there are a couple of people I know, it's a couple women I know that, I mean, you will not say their name sideways. They dye their hair purple and green and orange. They say what they want to say when they want to say, and you're not going to play with them. But it's because everything that they do is airtight.
Right.
Yeah.
And when you move in a space where everything you do is airtight, you don't leave room for people to play with.
Yeah, you don't.
But do you think that's a really hard space to be in? And does it make you tired to have to make sure that every I is dotted and every T is crossed? There's no room for error. I have to be there at 6 when everybody else gets there at 8. But the person that got there at 8 or maybe 8:15, they were already late. They're getting paid more than you. How does that?
It's not an option.
Okay.
So you have to think, when you're in a place where your back up, well, for me,
Yeah.
when my back is up against the wall is when I do my best work. And realistically, my back is up against the wall. I have 3 kids who are teenagers.
Yes.
You know, I'm divorced. My mother's dead. My father's dead. My brother's dead. My aunts are dead. Like, and the family that I do have that was related to my father, I have absolutely no relationship with, except for like one aunt. So realistically, it's me.
Yeah.
And, you know, there are people that love me and that care about me and that will pour into me. But when we think about what it's supposed to look like, or what we craft our minds to look like, we think you're supposed to have a mom and a dad, because that's what life looks like. But realistically, it's me and them kids. And if I don't make it happen, then what's going to happen? And so I look at my kids, and I every time, as much as I don't like teenagers, ooh, Lord. But
Mary had a little lamb.
the reality of it is that if they don't see me grind, then what are you going to do?
Yeah.
Right.
Because people don't understand the reality of divorce and separation and things of that nature, is that mostly children live with their parent. Their mom. It doesn't matter how great the dad may be, a great dad.
Yeah.
But they watch mom get up every day, go to
Yeah.
work every day, move in a space, and how she got to make sure we okay. I can't fail. It's not an option. So I'm going to keep moving like I'm moving, because what I've started to realize in this season is that people know my name that I didn't know my name.
I know your name. Onari.
Thank you.
Know that. Now we didn't rumble with the B, throw a hex on the whole family.
Long as you know.
Dressed in
Long as
all
you know.
black
Like the omen. Got your friend singing, this is for my homie. And you know me.
Better. But she can get you together. Maybe somebody else.
Okay.
Play with somebody else.
Build that confidence.
Mhm.
So we built that confidence. We are, we can do this. I know who I am at this point. I know I can switch it up. Then your soundtrack goes into another phase.
Adulthood.
Adulthood. What does that look? Young adulthood.
Mhm.
What does that soundtrack sound like to you?
3 6 Mafia and Pastor Troy.
Oh, yeah.
Because when you get to that, it's different. It's challenging. You gotta. I believe in prayer.
Yes.
I'm a prayer warrior. I can pray you under the table.
Yeah.
But the one thing I've learned about life is if you don't fight, you will fail.
Yeah.
And some people look at it like, well, I'm tired. Well, nigga, get tired and get out the way.
Yeah.
Come on.
I don't have the energy for it. So for
Okay.
me, when you listen to 3 6 Mafia, when you listen, like even the story of Pastor Troy's life, his father was a pastor.
Yeah.
And like even now he's reverted back to being a pastor.
Come on,
but
man.
everything that you
It's the
have to look
legacy.
at,
Yeah.
absolutely. You
Uh-huh.
have to look at what it looks like. And 3 6 Mafia was absolutely putting people in a position to say, F around and find out.
Yeah.
And that's how I lived my life probably from like 1999 to 2005.
That's
Mm.
Mess around and find out. Whatever it's gonna be, it's gonna be.
So what did that look like when
Fighting.
they was messing around and finding
fighting.
out?
That's all I did.
Was you like swinging on people? Were you
Absolutely.
what happened?
You
I
was
fought-
physically and
I
mentally
fought.
fighting.
No, baby. It was more physical than anything.
It was more physical than
Because
mental.
I wasn't struggling with the mental part of it.
Okay.
You know, I had lost a lot of people at that point in my life, and I kind of chalked death up to being, it is what it is.
Okay.
You're here to
Mm.
die. And
Right.
even though that hurts to not have them here, how do I get past this moment? And
Mhm.
that wasn't healthy either, because you're not really dealing with what's
Right.
going on.
Right.
But that looks like me being in college, to skim through quickly. I was smart enough to know.
You ain't got scammed through
Because
quickly.
it was a lot. But I was smart enough to know that if I am part of Psychology Club, so I was the president of Psychology Club.
So you in their heads.
I was Tau Beta Sigma, which is the band sorority.
Mhm.
I was, when I was living on campus, I was the sergeant at arms of my campus.
Oh,
dorm
you
room.
getting
So
them in track.
I was in the NAACP.
Come
I
on
was
now,
in the
Black
Pep
Power.
Squad.
Come on.
Okay.
And
Yeah.
you cheering them on.
Absolutely. I was in the marching. I said the marching man because I pledged the sorority there.
Mhm.
Let's see, what else did I do? I probably did everything at
That's
Virginia State.
amazing.
But
What school was this?
Virginia State.
Virginia
Okay.
State.
Virginia
Okay.
State. But I fought the whole time.
Okay.
The whole time.
So they was getting their
I
eyes
could not
black.
stand the boys from New York. I could not. All that yo kid, yo mom. Oh, it's on. I had my jaw
You was
broken by a
fighting the
boy.
boys?
Yeah, I'm not fighting no girl. You're not a challenge for me. I know how to fight.
Okay.
I know how to.
I know who I'm
to
calling.
this day,
Listen.
I don't fight because if I do fight, it's so. This is the bad part about it.
Come on.
When you learn yourself,
Yeah.
you know that when you're triggered in a certain way, your body, and what people don't realize, your body chemistry changes based on
does.
emotion.
100%.
What I learned
Yeah.
at my big age,
Yeah.
probably like about a year ago, and it really took me to literally a year ago. When I get mad, I get hot.
Ooh.
So I realized that when I get hot, it's like somebody pouring lava
Yes.
on my body.
Yes.
And I've learned how to stop it and come on.
Ooh, come on. It
So-
happened to me yesterday.
Teach me the way.
I'm gonna teach you. So how you stop your anger in the midst of the storm
Okay.
Yes.
is that you have to realize that what it is, you can outthink it.
Yes.
Okay.
Anything that happens around you is happening to you because you are allowing it to happen.
Yes.
And if you put yourself in a space to allow it to take you over, you've already lost.
Right.
Come on.
So now my whole thing is, if I let this take me into a space where I don't want to be, I have now lost the battle because you have more possession over me than I do.
Mm.
And so I can't allow you to have more over me than what I
Mhm.
have over me because now I'm weak and I don't like to be weak.
Right. Because you fight to win.
There you go. Every time. But
Okay.
there's that. But 3 6 Mafia days were, I just didn't, you're not going to play with me.
Okay.
So give me a 3 6 Mafia song. You
You
know a 3 6 Mafia because I can't
My
even think of
favorite
it.
song is I'm so high. All I smell like is smoke. Yeah, that motherfucking weed. Yeah, that goddamn dope.
And that's so true because all of them, they talk about weed all the time. But anything, if you listen to any of that crank music from down south,
yeah.
so down south you got Who Run It,
Uh-huh.
and Who Run It was absolutely the song I got my face broken to.
Your face is broken?
Yes.
On which
Oh,
side?
Wow.
It was this
Okay.
fighting
Really?
in the
A
club.
boy.
Yep. Because who you playing with?
Girl.
Yeah,
Mary
'cause
had a
we
little
got
man.
we got into an argument in the club. Guy from New York.
Uh-huh.
Got into an argument in the club, and in the midst of the argument, he backed down. His friends told him to back down, so he left. So when we were leaving, we were coming out of the club. We were at Virginia State. We coming out the club, and he called my name.
Yeah.
And it taught me then, don't. And my mother used to tell me,
Don't
because I
turn
was so
around.
mad. My mother used to tell me all the time, if somebody call your name and you in public, don't ever turn around.
Don't turn around.
'Cause you
I
don't
know that
what they
rule.
trying to do.
Yep.
You
My
gotta
dumb
keep
tail,
going.
I'm in Virginia thinking, oh, these suckers in Virginia, what's gonna happen?
Yeah.
I turned around. As soon as I turned around, he leaned, and I watched it. It was like slow motion. He leaned back and leaned into the punch, and I felt my
boy.
jaw break. I felt it, and I
Wow.
hit the ground. And baby, when I tell you my best friend is best friend, and to this day, sis walked across me and whooped him all the way down. We got him together, jaw broken off.
Wow.
Yeah,
Oh, wow.
absolutely.
You know, these New York guys, it's a lot happening with that. Our producer from New York, so he might
It's
know.
okay. I'm just be honest. But you know why I didn't like them? I'll be honest, because they had this cockiness about them.
Yeah,
which
yeah,
As an
yeah.
adult, I can appreciate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They have
But
a
then
certain
they
level of
have this
arrogance.
arrogance about
They
them
do.
that
It's an
kinda put them in
aura.
like who you think you playing with.
Yeah.
And then my thing was, who the hell you talking to?
Yeah.
Because they would say, hey, yo, mom, but first of all, little boy.
Little
And
boy.
see, that used to bother me. That yo
Yeah.
mom stuff, oh my gosh. That gets
Talk to your mama.
talk to her. I didn't like that.
Talk to her, not me.
Mm-hmm.
On Mary Had a Little Lamb.
Yeah.
I love that.
But I was okay. I mean, I did a lot of fighting at college. I did a lot. I stayed in the dean's office. But it was okay because I had all of these other accolades.
Yes.
So I got away with it. And then I got locked up in college.
You got locked up.
Definitely
They
went to
won't
jail.
let her out.
Yeah,
Hey.
yeah. And
They
yeah.
won't let.
And it was one of them too.
And that's just so. I was just about to ask you too. Like, when you look back at your life now, do you regret fighting so much, or do you think
Hell
it's
no.
added? Do you think it made you the person you
I
are
love
today?
fighting. Let me tell you something. Honestly, right now, it's a couple people need to get their tail whooped. And the only reason I won't do it is because I know that my reputation when it comes to my children will absolutely be watered down. By the fact- if I went right now and punched somebody in their face, that I really think they need to get these hands.
Come on.
It's going to take away everything I built.
Yes.
And in all reality, we're in such a toxic time. There's
Yeah.
no need to do it.
No
But
need.
baby, I like the fit when you fight. See, this is the thing. When you fight and that energy that come off when
Come
you know
on.
you landing in them.
That's why we
Release.
like each other.
It's a release.
It's something.
That's why we like
It's a
each other.
release.
I love it. I love it. I almost fought a couple times, but it wasn't my fault. It was somebody else's fault in the environment that I was in,
Yeah.
doing the work that I was doing, and they played with my work mother. And so I pulled up. It was
Yeah, the
regular.
checker.
Yeah,
Went protection
but
mode.
yeah,
Yeah.
that was a couple years ago. I'm past that part.
But that's okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so we 3-6 Mafia. We
were.
fighting.
We were.
We in college.
Mhm.
We get past that point, and now the soundtrack changed again. Remix.
So now, believe it or not,
Okay.
it was Smokey No. What is that song?
Smokey No.
It came in around 2000. It's the one he sang about "I Need You Now."
I
That-
need
it was him.
you now.
So all of those
It's a
that
gospel song.
Yes.
Okay, I do know that song.
so
Mhm.
all of that became that because my senior year of college, my mother got sick. She was on her way to come pick me up from Virginia State, and her pancreas exploded,
Oh, Jesus.
and she died on her way to come pick me up. They resuscitated her, brought her back to life. I graduated from college. Nobody was at my graduation. And I went to see her after that, and I had on my cap and gown, and she sat up in the bed. She said, "Oh, you're so cute. Your mother would be so proud." Crushed me. It crushed. She had
didn't
no idea who
remember
I
you
was.
were?
Oh my God.
Nope. And to this day, every time I go back to school to get another degree, I always clam up. Like I'll get all the way to the end. Like I went to Trinity for 3 years.
Yeah.
I almost got my master's there. And when it got time for that last year, I just got ill. Like I couldn't do it.
Yeah.
Every time
That's
I go
the
back,
trauma.
I can't do it.
Mhm.
So at your graduation,
Mhm.
being alone,
Mhm.
and at this point, you're singing "I Need You Now" in
Mhm.
your spirit.
Mhm.
How did your faith get you through that space?
I don't need anybody.
Ah.
And it made me, because even the family members that did come to graduation, they left because they wanted to go get high. So they didn't even see me graduate.
Oh, wow.
So realistically, it put me in a space of realizing that all of these people that we are connected to, we're connected to because that's a choice.
Yeah.
And when you plug into somebody, you plugging into that energy because that's what you want to do.
Yeah.
But I absolutely come to understand that if I don't have my creator, I don't need anybody else. The people that I'm around and that I've decided to be in relationship with is because I love them and they love me, and I've
I know
decided to
you
take
love
on
me,
that
girl.
energy.
It's okay. I
Absolutely.
already know it.
But you don't need it. I mean, yeah, you
Yeah.
need people, like, they say you should have people on your team. And that's
Yeah.
absolutely the truth. But realistic, when it comes to the thick of it, when you start going through those seasons in your life where you can't shake anything, even the people that you need, when God is really trying to elevate you, you still gonna be isolated.
Yeah.
Right.
Because they're not,
Oh,
it's
God.
not gonna land.
Yes.
So I understood in that moment that that's all I had.
So in that isolation, and I need you now, you at this point, because that song, when you hear that song, even if you're having a great day, you're gonna hit the floor and be like, Lord, I need you.
Yeah.
Because that soundtrack resonates.
Mhm.
How do you get through that? How do you go forward? And I hear that you said you had a declaration that I don't need anybody in that space. I need no one.
Not unless and that is what the part of my life that made me realize, if you have not been where I'm going, or you've not gone through what I'm going through, I don't want to hear it. And I'm still like that to this day. And I mean, maybe it's a gift, maybe it's a curse. But if I'm in a space where I'm going through something, all that extra added, trying to give me advice, I'll be listening, but it don't land with me.
Yeah.
If you haven't been through the season in your life, if you haven't struggled, and it doesn't mean that you're not giving me good tidbits.
Right.
But for it to land with me, I got to know that you struggled like I'm struggling in order for me to get to the next space.
Do you think that that could be a hindrance to growth? Or do you think that that's something that you have to hold on to in order for your charge to keep going?
I believe that God knows exactly how to get to me.
Come on.
And so when I look at it like that, I tell people all the time, I believe that a crackhead knows the Bible better than pastors.
Man, I know
So,
some.
With that being said, I just always look at it like, if I am going to learn a lesson, and it's really going to be a lesson that's going to be a blessing, I have to hear from somebody who figured it out.
Yeah.
And I don't want you, please, I don't care how many degrees you have. I'm a certified life coach. I'm a certified health coach. That don't mean I don't fall apart. So all that trying to tell me what you read is BS to me.
Yeah.
I need to know that you absolutely, like when I was going through a season of struggle with my children.
Yeah.
I need to know that the conversation that I'm having is a woman that went through struggle with her children.
Yeah.
I don't need to hear from my friend that don't have no kids.
Right. Yes.
What are we talking about?
Right.
Your money type. Nigga, I don't care. You have no kids. Like, I'm trying to feed 3 kids. Are you serious?
Right.
But that doesn't mean that you don't understand me. It doesn't mean that you don't love me. But I need to know what that woman did that had to feed these children, and it was either ass or grass. Yeah. And how did she do that?
Yeah.
That's what I need to understand.
Right.
Story.
So that's how
that is so good. I love that for you.
Yeah.
I love that for you. And I love that you found that in that space, because I'm sure that soundtrack, I Need You Now, and you realizing that I need to have my ears purposefully listen to the people that God has sent for me. And now we in this next season, and we like, okay, I need you now. And then we say, okay, Lord, what you got for me?
So
what's
that
the next
season
soundtrack?
was after I graduated from college. I was back in DC, and I was working at Eagle Academy. I was a teacher for a year, and the season then was Party Like a Rock Star.
Party like a rock star. Yeah. Party like a rock. Party like a rock star.
It was going down.
Hey.
It was a lot of anger and frustration and being overwhelmed. Because remember, my mother died and they brought her back to life. So now she's going through her process of healing.
Yes.
And there's not a whole lot there. And she was married to a man that to this day, I'm really not concerned about breath body-wise if he's here. And so it really put me in a space of, how do I navigate this anger and navigate this frustration and still be okay? And so it was still, I'm going to church and I'm still going to pray, because I can still pray you under the table. But it was having a good time. I mean, and I partied hard.
Tell me about that. What was
I
doing?
A good time. I mean, it was a funky good time, you know. And to tell on myself, I mean, you know, I got pregnant with my first son. I found I was pregnant at 6 months. And the guy I was living with was not his dad. But we had an open relationship.
Well, that's okay.
And so it was, hey Slim, look, you was out of town when this happened. It didn't happen at our house. So let me tell you, I ain't break the rules. But I know this ain't yours.
Right.
And being in that space, because a lot of people don't understand how to navigate in those kind of relationships or those kind of situations, and people judge you. But I mean, to be 6 months pregnant and not know you pregnant, and you were told at 12 you would never have a child. They told me I would never have kids. My fallopian tubes were too small. Just don't ever worry about it.
You have 3.
Yeah.
Look at the
God
Lord.
is amazing.
Yep. They get on my nerves.
Well, they gonna do that.
I love them though. I love them. They my purpose and my reason. I wouldn't have made it this far.
Yeah.
But that's what that looked like. I had me a ball. And then once I had him, I really think that he saved my mother because she started to heal and her body was getting better. Like while I was pregnant with him, like over that time, like it really resonated with her that she had to be here. And so by the time he was born, she was 10 toes down, working everything.
Yeah.
Yeah, with no pancreas, no spleen, no gallbladder.
Wow.
At all. And that was her everything. So I didn't even know what it was to be a parent. Because I would drop him off at daycare and they would call me and be like, hey, so you probably don't want to come get him. Your mom came at noon and just picked him up. And like, I never saw Jalen. Like never.
That's her baby.
Yeah, absolutely.
That first one is always the grandmother's baby.
Yeah, she could, Lord. Yeah. Rodney.
So we partying, we having a good time. But what was the lesson that you learned in that?
I could have died.
Okay.
That was the real lesson.
Okay, how so?
Because I party like literally, like if you listen to that song, like you know how they say people get to the edge, you keep forgetting I went to school all Caucasians. So you know they edge a death party. They popping pills. They like I was popping Molly's, like I had the double stack Molly.
Okay.
So I was going hard, okay. And then back then the colors was different. So the darker the color was, the harder the Molly was. So I'm popping red Molly's. That's the color lipstick.
So the red or green, the red or blue pill, what's that?
Blue. Yeah, okay.
The red you live and you learn.
I'm drinking alcohol all the time. Like I was outside. I was smoking weed. Like I wasn't in a place of being in the right mindset at all because I was just moving how I was moving. And so, now that I'm moving in that space and now become somebody's mother, I didn't have them.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like once I finished with being a little baby, that like 3 or 4 weeks, my mother was like, yeah, okay, have a good one. Like I never saw my child. I wasn't breastfeeding, so she didn't care. All right, bye. So I was back partying again.
How old were you when you had your first child?
When I was younger. Because I'm still 35.
Murray had a little lamb.
Never catch me.
Now I want you all to know when I say that things aren't right. Okay? When you hear me say that, when I was younger,
in my early 20s.
College.
Yeah, it was
after college.
It was
Okay.
right out of
So
college.
after college, okay.
Yeah.
So you weren't young, but you were young.
Yeah.
Okay.
I was like young 20.
Okay.
And I was having a blast of time. And so this was TCB at the Trade Winds.
Yes.
This was going to the parties out of town. This was Virginia State having homecoming.
Yeah.
This was any club party. Like I would go to work and then it was like, all right, it's time to go out.
Okay.
My mother I never saw Jalen. I'm telling you, like literally we were like trains passing in the wind. Like I might have my child for 2 or 3 days if she had to go do something for work. But
she had to do something.
she would not give him back. It wasn't like I was like, oh, I'm going out. I would call my mother and be like, yeah, I'm gonna come get Jalen for what? Not too much. It's okay. You can go ahead and leave him here. He's actually getting ready to lay down. Mom's noon. He's ticking her now. And she would be dead serious.
My baby.
Yeah, no, seriously. She was like, please don't drive to Bowie. You live in Suitland, stay there.
Yes.
It's okay. So it was like, what else you want? No, seriously.
Yeah, that's amazing.
That's amazing.
And he looked like my brother, and my brother committed suicide.
Oh, wow.
So for her,
Deeper
it was
story.
It's deeper. It was deeper for her.
That's amazing.
That was her everything.
Wow.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
So I remember you saying when your mom was driving to the school and her appendix had burst and she lost her memory. Did her memory come back like slowly or like it was just over time?
What's funny is she never, like, even though to the day she died, she eventually passed away in 2016. So that was like 2003, 4 when that happened.
Oh, so
Okay.
She lived a while after that.
Yes.
But she would go in and out of like certain things. She was sharp as a tack. So it was like when she got her memory back, it was on fold, especially when it came to business.
Right.
But there would be little nuances of things that she would forget. She would even forget people's names. She even would forget my younger 2 kids' names when I had them, but she never forgot Jane.
Wow. That's her baby.
All the way to then. Okay. Yeah, absolutely.
Still today.
Yeah, until she passed away. I still think she in his room somewhere watching him at nighttime.
She covers him.
Oh, I know.
She covers you all.
I know.
The other thing I want to say, or I noticed, I've learned that a lot of times when people are really, really smart, they party like rock stars. Do you think that because your brain is so brilliant, And I think that you have a brilliant brain.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, girl.
I think I'm a little crazy.
Yeah, but that's good.
Well, you know what they say.
They say the crazy ones.
Insanity is brilliance is close to
Right.
insanity.
Do you think that because your brain thinks the way that it does, do you think that that contributed to you partying like a rock star, like to get out of your mind?
So part of it, yes.
Mm-hmm.
The other part of it is when you think about the matriculation of how this story happened to get to that space. You have a little girl who was born in the year that I was born. Well,
Uh-huh.
catch me there.
Uh-huh.
And then to have a mother and father who lived in the same house and were raising me together.
Yes.
And then my father started to use drugs.
Mm-hmm.
Like literally, I might have been maybe 7 or 8 years old. And so in the process of him using drugs, he got to a space where it just took him over. So my father was a drug dealer who sold cars over in Northeast Ford, if anybody knows what that is, on New York Avenue. And he used to put drugs in the trunk of the cars. And the drug dealers would come by the cars with the drugs in the trunk. He was very smart.
Very smart.
Yeah.
But he ended up dying. So my mom and dad separated and he died like the next year.
Wow.
Yeah, he had a heart attack. He was trying to get off of drugs, but it was so strong. It was too much. And this is somebody, my father used to rob people. My father was a bank robber. Like he was outside.
Right.
And my mother had a master's degree. So that was that.
So they both were super smart.
Yeah.
And
At the end of the day,
just in two different
they just
spaces.
had two different. Somebody told me the other day that the kingpin and the CEO literally has the same mind.
No, they do.
Yeah, they do.
No, seriously.
Yeah.
And it's not a joke.
And it's not a joke.
No, my father taught me, and this is so bad. Anybody that's related to him is probably gonna cuss underneath y'all comments. My father taught me how to cook and cut up dope and coke when I was probably like 6.
Wow.
And his mindset behind it, and he used to tell me all the time, if you ever get stuck, this is how you're gonna get out. My mother never knew.
Right.
My mother didn't know any of stuff. So the whole time she pushing education and she teaching me math. And then when she would not understand certain stuff with math, she'd be like, oh, I'm gonna let your father do it. And my father is downstairs showing me, okay, now this is an ounce and this is a gram. And that's literally how he would teach me math.
Because that was his way of math.
Absolutely. And he was highly intelligent.
Yeah.
And then outside of that, then I have my brother who committed suicide in my bedroom when I was 12. And he just couldn't take it. He was a DC police officer, and there was a whole lot going on in shifts in that time. And I think the trauma of coming home and watching them wheel your brother out of the room, and then you go into your room and his blood and brains are all over the floor at 12 years old.
Yeah.
Fast forward, like maybe 6 months later, I was laying in the bed in my room. And you know how back in the day, anybody, because we're not gonna talk about the age, you know, the foam they used to sit underneath the beds. Anybody knows there was a kid in the 80s and 90s, that foam that went underneath the fitted sheet.
Yeah.
The bed fitted sheet popped off and the foam pulled back and it was dried blood all on the side of my bed. And that ruined, like to this day, even now when I put sheets on the bed, I go look like I'm looking for it.
Yeah.
Because it traumatized me so bad.
Wow.
And then you go from there to life kind of leveling out. And then when I was probably, maybe 15, my godfather was killed, Rock Creek Park. He was working as a construction worker and the crane snapped and flattened him in the middle of the park. And then we move on from there. And I was about 16 going to college and I had my first boyfriend. Brian Leon Reed. I will never forget. I was in love with him my whole heart. And that was my everything. He begged my mother not to send me to college because he didn't want me to leave. And because we didn't have no internet back then, I didn't know his whole story. You know, back in the day, you only knew what somebody told you.
Absolutely.
And when I went to college, he started doing drugs. So I went to college, I think in June, before I could get home for spring break.
Me too.
I went to college, and when I got no man. When she went,
not the one that carried it too.
No ma'am. And I went to go try to see him when I went home, and he was hiding from me.
Yeah.
He wouldn't let me see him. And before I could get home for spring break, he got shot 3 times in the back of his head.
Ooh.
And so then you fast forward from that, and now you're in college, and your mother dies right before you graduate. You see, and then my grandmother died right before that. So it was like he died, he died, my grandmother died, my aunt died, and then my mother died. So it was just like, you know what I'm saying? Because my mother died in the 26, when I graduated, and then she eventually really passed in 2016. But, you know, that's a lot of people that you've lost along the way.
How did you do any therapy during these times? Or
So that's the problem with being smart. And that's how we get to the being smart part. When you have a certain level of intelligence and then you study certain things, it becomes a joke.
Yeah.
So therapy is a joke to me.
Okay.
I've tried 1,000 times, but my degree is in psychology.
Yeah.
So as soon as I get to talking to them and they start doing that psychological crap that I know how to do, I was like, okay, this is not.
It's beyond you.
I'm not doing this. And then I went back and made it worse. And now I'm a certified life coach and a health coach. So now I really be looking at people like, yeah, I'm not.
So do you think that no one can help you?
No, that's not true. Now,
Okay.
I think that I get education and growth from people that God has placed in my life.
Okay.
But to sit down with a therapist, I've tried 1,000 times, and I'd be like,
That's not for me.
you're studying Freud. That's
Yeah, of course.
yeah, I don't
right.
not.
Of course.
So it doesn't work in that space.
Wow. Okay.
So with the intelligence part of it, and the partying and how you operate, when your brain works a certain way, you can't turn certain things off. And it's funny because for a long time, I thought I was dumb. Honestly, probably up until about a year ago, I really thought I was stupid because
you can't possibly.
I'm not exaggerating. I promise you, because I was always in a space where I always had a glass ceiling. So even in working at my job, I worked at my job at Eagle Academy for 22 years, maybe 21 years. Yeah, you're trying to add it up. So thinking about being in a space at Eagle for all of these years,
yes,
I only could do but so much. Yes. They only let me progress so much.
Right.
And when my mother died in 2016, they threw me into the community and was like, yeah, go be a part of the community.
Go do the community.
And I didn't know what community engagement was. Right. It just so happens I was blessed for some people, to hold my hand and be like, nah, baby, this is what you're going to do. Yeah. This is how this going to operate and this is how we're going to move. And I didn't even realize the information I had retained until after Eagle Academy shut down.
But that's how life works. It works backwards. You don't even know the training. It's like wax on, wax off. Daniel's son. Absolutely. Wax on, wax off. Yeah. And now you the Karate Kid.
I'm still learning, I promise you. I don't know it all yet. Not yet. I'm trying to get there.
Okay, so we have graduated. What was that?
Well, college.
Party like a rock star.
Party like a rock star, right? So we've partied like a rock star, and now we're at a new place in our life. Where do we go?
So now we're listening to India Arie's Brown Skin.
Brown Skin.
Because I met my first husband.
Okay. Well, he was brown skin.
Very much so. Very nice looking guy.
Okay.
But we were young.
Yes.
And it happened fast. Yeah. So I told you my mother had my son all the time.
Yeah.
So now I meet him and I'm pregnant in 6 months and we married within 8. And I'm still that early 20s.
Right.
And we, as much as our brains may have connected with one another and physically we might have connected with one another, it was very much so my mother and father all over again. He was in the hood. He was a hood boy. He wanted to do hood things. Yeah. He walked around with a chain on. He got wads of money. Smart as a whip. Can speak, read, and write Arabic. Smart as a whip.
Wow.
But
so you met your father?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. Woo. But we were clashing because we were young. And so having kids and being married, I think that the reality of what everybody else knew marriage to be and the reality of what we knew marriage to be was a joke.
Yeah.
So we doing stuff like he in there giving the kids a bath and I'm sneaking out the house so I can go to the go-go with my shoes in my hand so you can't hear me tiptoeing out the house. Like stupid stuff like that. And that led to a lot of fights, like a lot of arguing, a lot of physical fights because we were young and it was very toxic. Wow. Very, very toxic.
How did that affect the kids?
I think they were really, really little. And so they didn't really see a lot of it for real because they didn't really understand because we had them back to back. Like, the last 2, they were a year apart. So realistically, I didn't realize that to them, it made them immune to noise. Like even now, my daughter runs track. My son used to play football. If you scream at them, it don't make them know. Like they coach like, you got it. And my daughter be like, oh, okay. I don't give a damn.
Right.
Very much so. But that's because that's the energy she came from. Right? So it don't bother them at all.
Wow.
Yeah, that's hard.
I mean, I don't think so.
No.
I We literally just talking about how some kids are just too not tough enough.
Yes,
you know what I'm saying? You gotta have tough.
But they so hard.
But you gotta be tough. You gotta be tough in these times.
I guess.
You really gotta be tough in these times.
Yeah, you have to be tough in these times. My son, I told him, listen, I'm gonna take you to this little program at DYRS because you not because he's so nice.
Oh, mine not nice. He can come over there.
I'm gonna send them to your house.
They are not nice.
I'm gonna send them to your house. Yeah, he's so nice.
And they're not mean kids. Like they're not mean to other kids, but they're very cutthroat. They're gonna say what they want.
Yeah,
at all.
They know
nonsense. Say what they want to say. The youngest one has no fear, and that scares me.
Yeah.
It scares me that because he does not care. Like he will go to toe to toe with the teacher, the people. He very much, and I pray over him more than the other two because it really puts fear in my
Wow.
heart for a black man to have no fear. Like he has no fear of anything, and it bothers
I
me.
kind of like that.
It's a gift and a
It's a
curse in where we are.
catch-22.
Yeah.
Because
I love
he
it.
is the kind of kid where he's going to challenge everything at all times. And being in the society that we're in, especially with black men, that can get you killed.
Right.
And you
Yeah.
have to know when to turn it off and turn it
Unless
off.
he's got found ways for him to challenge.
Yeah.
You know, like
Well, I
different
don't-
things.
help me help myself. 'Cause I
I will tell you that that's not a bad thing because my oldest son is like that.
don't, okay.
And he's about to be a PhD
Okay.
and he don't have no fear.
Mm-hmm.
If the police pulled him over in Virginia
Mm-hmm.
and he was like, you can go back there and do your job.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm going to sit right here while you do your job.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, sir, you could have got shot.
yeah, that's Lafayette. He don't care.
Yeah, I said, sir, you could have got shot. He said, I'm a black man and everything about this car is mine.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, sir, but you could have got shot.
He don't get it.
Yeah.
That
Yeah.
terrifies me.
But I kind of like that for them. I know it's dangerous,
Yeah, it is.
but at the end of the day, what you said was most important.
Mhm.
You cover him with prayer.
You better.
You
And you-
cover him with prayer, and he's going to do the
And you can be
best.
fearless the
Yes.
right way, right? 'Cause
Yes.
Like I feel like in instances like that, when things go wrong, when you become super combative and aggressive,
Yes.
but you can be fearless and in
Mhm. But
control.
see,
he's
control.
but now he's combative.
Okay.
So he's at that place where he wish you would, because he gonna say what he gonna say, and it's
Yeah.
gonna get nasty
So that's
fast.
what you got to work on.
Yeah.
Not
Real bad.
Yeah.
He'll get through that.
He'll
He'll get through that. That'll be our
he'll
next
mold
doctor.
It. He'll mold it.
That'll be our next doctor.
And there was that.
And that's that.
Mhm.
Yeah, it'll be molded.
And life played on.
So talking about the soundtrack of your life,
Mhm.
Chanel sent me your playlist.
Hey!
So
I
different.
don't have Apple Music, but I was able to listen to a couple of songs. And one of the things that stood out to me was I Will Survive.
Mm-hmm.
And there is strength in survival.
Mhm.
Yes.
And so I feel like with your story, you have survived
Mm-hmm.
so much.
So
you
much.
survived so many people
Mm-hmm.
or whatever. So how do you feel like a lot of strength comes from like all your experiences
Mhm.
or how do you?
A couple of things.
Okay.
So one of them is realizing when you're the problem.
Mm.
So, like I said, I had a first husband, I had a second husband. And in that situation, while I don't take or detract from anything that they did, I'm working on me.
Mm.
And the me part of it is I was shut down emotionally in a lot of spaces. I realized probably in the last 6 months that I have been in more relationship with my girlfriends than I ever have with a man, up until I started to put myself in a space of
Mhm.
understanding where I was falling apart.
Yes.
And so while you can't control life, because we all are here for these pieces of the puzzle and how they're going to land and lay, you really, really have to put yourself in a space to understand what part you play in every single situation that you show up in. And when I talk to women about my story, because I try to share to give, because it's a lot easier for you to tell somebody something about you and kind of get them to see and deflect on what they need to be figuring out.
Right.
I learned that in my problems that I created a lot of my own issues. Life is going to happen.
Mhm.
The situation is going to happen. People going to
Mhm.
do what they're going to do. Somebody going to hurt you. Somebody going to lie to you. Somebody's
Mhm.
going to cheat. Somebody going to steal. But how you show up
Yeah,
in that
yeah, yeah.
situation is absolutely how you're going to manifest what happens in moving forward, like that ripple effect.
Yeah.
And so in order to get through a lot of these situations, I didn't realize what I was learning, honestly, until 2023 and 2024 almost killed me. Period. I went through a divorce. I went through losing my house. I went through losing my job. I went through my kids acting crazy. I was working a job 6 to 6, door dashing from 6 to 10. Like it was so many things that I just thought were going to kill me. And I just kept hearing God say, just let me get you to 2025. Just
Ooh.
if I get you there, if I get you to this space where I'm trying to get you to, I promise you everything about who you think you are is going to be what it's going to be. And I had so many people around me that poured into me that I heard them, but it wasn't landing.
Yeah.
Because even though I knew that they weren't lying, I knew that they understood, I knew that they had been in a space of learning and growing.
Mhm.
I couldn't fade it
You
because I
couldn't
was
fade
so
it.
hurt and so broken.
Yeah.
And it was like, all right, I hear you, but I hear
Right.
you, but, and I was drinking a lot. Like I was broken. I was broken to the core. And in that season, one of the things that I would give anybody that's going through trying to be their best self, if you have never, and a lot of people say, I've been in a season, and I tell you all the time, bullshit. If you have never been in a season in your life where you know that nothing about what is going on in your life can you fix on your own, then you will never, ever change.
Right.
And so we get to a place where people believe like, oh, well, I went through this, or I went through that, and this hurt me, and that. No, baby. You go through that season that really breaks you down to the
rock
core.
bottom.
You will. It's like you're never. If anybody tells you are who you always were, you've never been through that season.
Right.
Yeah.
You haven't been.
Come on.
And so when you get to a place where you really are trying to, it's like you honestly feel like you are going through quicksand and you pull it, and it's like no matter what you do, you can't grip yourself out of it.
And you
can't
walk,
pull
you
yourself out of it.
done walked a mile and still
It's
in the same
different.
place.
It's different.
Come
and
on.
to go through that space and to be in that space and know that in 2023 and 2024, I literally I kept saying, God, just don't kill me right now.
Ooh.
And I just felt like, God, please don't let me die.
Come on.
Because I couldn't figure it out. I could not get myself together. Like I couldn't pull my head up. And then 2025 came, and I lie to you not, when I woke up that morning, the sun looked different. And when you get to a place where you know that God is going to deliver, I didn't know what was coming down the pipeline for me in 25.
What was that
But I
soundtrack?
knew for this year?
Yeah. When that sun looked
man.
different, what songs did you hear?
Let's see. It ain't. I honestly, it's quiet.
Okay.
Ooh.
When you get to a place where you have gone all the way to where you know that if you don't trust your creator, that's it for you. When you know that you know
playing.
it's nothing else.
Wow.
You just gain a relationship with your God in a different way. I even converted, so I grew up as Christian my whole life.
Yeah.
And I don't have anything different to say about anybody's religion. I'm not knocking how anybody operates. But before my birthday in 2024, I reverted, because we don't call it converting. I reverted to being a Muslim. And the reason why was because I felt like I had to talk to God directly. It's nothing against how anybody else prays. And I don't have anything to say about Jesus or anything else, but I knew that I had to have conversations with just me and God. I had to get to a place where I got on my face. And if you ever talk to Muslims that have been in jail, they call it bumping their head.
Yeah.
I had to get to a place where I was so far into the conversation that it was just me and God in the room. I'm tired of talking to the representative. I'm tired of going and making a date on a book and trying to figure out how I can get an appointment with you. I ain't saying Jesus don't do none of the things. I'm not denouncing none of that. But what I'm saying is where I was, I had to have a conversation directly with God, or else I was going to die. Period. And that's what it was. And so now it's to see the things that are happening for me in my life in 2025. I absolutely know that I have to help other women get to where they're going, because they don't understand the magnitude of what we are doing as women and how we are breaking our men and breaking our families and breaking our children breaking society. And I am in no way trying to hurt or harm a sister with my words. But the reality behind it is, when you look at the core of what this really is, we are the only things that are directly connected to spirituality and God. You bring life to the world and you don't even know how you do. So how do you now move in a space where you are not strong enough to have conversations directly with your God, and you think that everything around you gonna thrive, everything around you gonna fail? So that's where it is.
Girl, the music has gone quiet.
It's
I
different.
love
I
that
love
for
that
you,
too.
because solitude is where you find God.
It
20
is.
and 25, baby. 2025 is
2025 has been
Everything.
so phenomenal for you.
everything.
And
is
I've
different.
been like just hanging on, just like every time we have a conversation, I'm like, woo, what is she gonna tell me next? Because it's happening. And your energy is so amazing.
Thank you. And it's crazy too, because when you spoke at the event or whatever, you touched a lot of people. You touched me. I remember a lot of stuff. We got to tell your story later. I remember a lot of stuff.
Oh,
Transparent.
Yeah, so you touched a lot of people that day. And the thing about it was silence in the room.
Yes.
It was silence in the room.
You can hear a pin drop.
It sure was. It was silence in the room, and it was tears on everybody's face.
Yes.
Like, so that's so the
event that you speak of, because our audience may not know.
Yes. We had a vision board party, and Anari spoke, and she really touched a lot of people. But it's funny that you said that this part of her life is a part of silence. It's a quiet time, because in that moment, the room was quiet. Ooh. All ears was listening.
All ears.
Yeah.
Wow.
So, and like I said, I took a lot of stuff home with me, because I realized that I am the problem too.
Yeah. And it's hard.
It's hard. It is hard.
Yes.
Even like my relationships, personal physical, whatever, I am the problem too. So I was like, oh wow, she's really talking to me today. I gotta gather myself. Like, woo.
Yeah, and who you plugging into? And see that, and that's the other thing that we have to think about. God didn't create you to be alone.
Yeah.
So when it comes to having a mate, when it comes to your friendships, what your relationships look like, who are you plugging into?
Yes.
I'm in a situation, we're not gonna talk too much about it, but I'm in a situation where I have a man that prays over me.
Right.
I have never in my life had a man pray for me.
Right.
Never. So realistically, being in a season where you're plugging into people and relationships and situations that are absolutely pouring you in a different way. When we start to think about who we are and how we're operating in our space of truth, being honest with yourself is the hardest place to be.
Yes, it is.
And the reason why, and it's funny that you said talking about the soundtrack of my life, the reason why it was a soundtrack of my life is because we don't like to be quiet.
Right.
And so you gotta think about it. And I already know what it is. I ain't have to talk to you. I put two and two together. But absolutely, when you are in a place where the music is playing, you can be distracted.
Yes.
When you get quiet with yourself and when you get in a space where it's just you and it's just God and and you just have those people around you that are willing to plug in and connect to you in a different way, it changes the demographic of how you operate.
Yes.
And so being in this place in this season of my life, I'm absolutely humble enough to know that as great as I have become, it's so much more that I can do.
Ooh,
It's so many people
conversation
that I can touch.
yesterday.
It's so many people that can really learn from my mistakes and learn from my blessings and learn from my growth. And it's funny because most of the times when I go places with people, women are always crying. They're always in it. And I'm like, God, I feel bad because I make
Don't
people
do that.
cry. But I do because I want you to grow, right? And I want you to be okay. You're going to tell the story. And I want you to.
She'll cry with you.
I love crying. That's what I say. I love crying.
You should.
It's like my thing.
You
Every
should.
day
I did
cry.
not tell you that.
But
She's
she's
a crier, but
every day
it's a cleansing to your soul.
is.
And
Yes.
it brings you into a space of loving yourself differently and moving in a space with yourself differently. So when you operate in a vibration of understanding that your body is just here, right? And that you're absolutely a spirit and you absolutely have this soul and it creates and crafts you in a different way. We get in our own way. And most of the reason why we fail on so much time and in so many spaces is because we are not taking the time to level ourselves enough to be quiet and listen. If you stop playing the music and you stop playing the game and you stop dancing the jig, you'll absolutely be in a place of peace where you can hear yourself enough to grow.
You are so powerful. You are so dynamic. You are everything God has created you to be.
Thank you, my love.
And I am just so proud of you.
Thank
Me too.
Yeah.
That's amazing. That is amazing.
And it's so funny that you talked about what you're connected to. I saw this thing on Instagram this morning, actually. Two things. I saw this thing on Instagram this morning. They took a strawberry that was already rotted and took a pen, a little pen or something, and put it to a fresh strawberry and put an even fresher strawberry on the end. All strawberries died.
Yeah, they went bad.
They all went bad. You cannot take a bad strawberry and put it with a good strawberry. I only connect women
With life.
with life and light.
Yep.
And I'm so proud of you.
Thank you, Mama.
I'm proud of you too, Coco.
You didn't cry.
I really am. You did not cry.
I
She had a little bit of tears and stuff.
You can't cry.
She had a
every time
little
I
bit
come
of
around because
tears.
it's gonna make me feel bad.
And then the second thing I wanted to say was when we talk about the mind and us being a spirit, this body is a shell.
Yeah.
This is a shell of us.
Absolutely.
Our minds are so powerful. And because we don't use all of our minds, we allow our emotions and things to get the best of us.
Yep.
And I'm so proud that you're able to use that percentage of your mind that everyone cannot tap into.
Oh, I love that.
And it is so, what is the word I'm looking for? It is so remarkable. It is so inspiring to see a woman that's ready to fight. Able to control that piece of you to take you and catapult you to your next level.
I'm just getting started.
Because you told me, if you connected to me,
you're gonna win.
We gonna win.
I told you.
And you was like, we going up. We ain't got nowhere else to go but up.
Yeah, nothing connected to me is gonna lose.
Come on.
That's right.
Nothing.
Everything attached to me wins.
And the thing about it too, the thing about your story is like you're still fighting. You're just fighting in different ways.
Yeah.
It's like you're fighting the fight in different ways. So it's like it's not physical anymore, but it's like
You on a battleground.
Yeah, you on a battleground.
You on a battleground
Boots
of
to the
your
ground.
life.
Yeah,
Boots to the
that's a
ground.
good way to put it.
You should have boots to the ground.
You got your
Because Maria is already going to be one of our panelists.
Yeah, so you-
Riri is in our
She sure
is in our
is.
studio
Oh,
audience,
Riri.
and
Yes.
she puts her boots to the ground every single
and that's
day.
important. 'Cause
Yes.
yeah, that's amazing.
Yeah, that's our next event. Boots to the ground, everybody. So look out for that. It's coming real soon. But we're doing a little different this time.
Yes,
It's
yeah.
not just about a dance and the music.
Mhm.
It's about how you truly putting your boots on the ground.
Yeah.
Right?
It's about people like Anari.
Yes.
Aw,
Yes,
thank
Yeah.
it
you,
is.
Sugar.
It really
It really
is.
is because like when you it
It's coming.
You can't cry every
that's
time.
what you the crap. That's what I say. You know, it takes a lot of strength to, like you said, show up as you are, and it takes a lot of strength to make a difference. You know what
Yeah.
I'm saying? And to come into a room or to come into a situation and like you just share the word and the light. And like I said, when you came in that day, you put it down.
Yeah.
And you said, I think you really, because you said something that really stuck with me. You said that the energy was heavy and that we all look beautiful, but you can tell that we all need to work on ourselves internally. Like the package was great. Everybody looked nice, but
Oh, it was bad.
yeah, we
No,
was.
you were very well.
We was well put together, but
But
she was like the energy was so heavy, and I was like, I understand where she's coming from because I know I'm heavy.
Yeah.
So and I was like, and I think a lot of people they could relate because I was like, in that moment, everybody was like, oh shit, she talking about me. You know what I'm saying?
But you have to know who you are.
Yeah,
like I know when I
yeah.
walk in a room, I change the atmosphere.
Yeah,
It doesn't matter.
You a ship shaper, baby.
Absolutely.
You do.
Good or bad. When I walk in a room,
Yes.
it's going to change the whole.
Yes.
thing.
You do.
And that's so good to know that about yourself.
Yeah.
Because at one point I didn't know that about myself. And now that I know it, I'm mindful of how I shift the room.
Yes.
I know that if I show up in this space, how I have to show up.
Yeah.
You have to be intentional.
You have to be very intentional. And that's my word for 2025. Intentional and pivot.
Okay.
Yeah, baby. So as we pivot to the end of our show.
It's over already.
Oh my God, we want to stay here forever. You want to get you coming back.
Please come back.
You coming back.
Enough time.
It's not enough time.
I didn't make you cry, so it really wasn't enough
No,
time.
it really wasn't enough
Okay.
time.
Oh, you gonna make her cry later. So when she tell you the story, she gonna make
I
you.
want
You come for the tears. I'm coming for tears. Oh, we gotta have a whole thing that's called "I'm Coming for Tears."
Now you got a whole. Okay.
Baby, it my mind.
Yeah.
I got one of the minds. But listen.
I like that.
Listen, this is the end of our show, and I just want to say thank you to
Yes,
Onari.
thank you so
Onari,
much.
if you will, please tell us how we can find you on your platforms.
So I only do Instagram.
Okay.
For right now, and it's Healing Broken Wings, INC. And that's the best way to reach me because it's where I give my all to my craft.
Okay.
I'll be on her page every day. And Coco, where can you find us?
You can find us on Instagram at Coco's Talk, YouTube at Coco's Talk, and we are working on a TikTok. and Facebook, but we kind of
We elders at the church.
Yeah, we're a little older.
We're
than
a little
that.
elders at the
TikTok. I'm like,
church.
girl, I ain't got no TikTok. How we supposed to do that? So please like
Share.
and subscribe.
And thank you for joining us. We will see you back shortly. Boots on the ground, baby.